Hey, what's up everybody? How you doing? It's Colin here with Big Shot Supplies. Today I wanted to give you a closer look at the Hydro Mixer XL from Midwest Washing Equipment. And of course it's available right here at bigshotsupplies.ca. We also have all the backup parts, any fittings that you would need for this in case you have to replace them or fix them. We also have the experience and knowledge to be able to help you troubleshoot it and install it. So there's lots of good reasons to buy from bigshotsupplies.ca. Today I wanted to show you this specific model behind me. This actually has the Storm Guard cover on it, so it's an additional feature that you can add when you're purchasing it. And the way it works is you just open, there's a latch here, and then you can open this, and then when you're done using it and traveling, you can actually close it, so it's going to protect the metering valves back here. So that's a good feature to add on. This comes standard with Hayward metering valves, and the chem line and the water line each have 3/4 inch metering lines or metering valves, and your soap comes with a 1/2 inch metering valve. Now the inlet for the soap would be, it's a 1/4 inch inlet. It's got a check valve here, and then on the chem and the water you have 1/2 inch connections here. The difference between this setup for a Comet P40 or like an AR45 or an Udor high volume low pressure system is the inlet and the bypass. So on here for this one's set up for a Comet P40, and it has a 1 inch inlet and the bypass is 1/2 inch. Now on the Udor or the AR45s, you would have an 1.25 inch inlet and you would have a 3/4 inch bypass. So on Big Shot Supplies, when you're shopping, you would choose between what style pump that you have, and then you would just use the drop down to choose. And what's going to be the difference is, again, just the inlet and bypass size. Now this comes with a really nice backing plate on here so that it easily mounts on your trailer or wherever you're going to mount this thing. Just mounts really nice, really simple. You got mounting bracket holes here and then over here as well, so you can mount this nice and neat and then hook up your lines to it. And this system specifically works for any 10 gallon a minute plus system. So even if you use like an air diaphragm pump hooked up to an air compressor, you can go ahead and use this system right here. All these metering valves are chemical resistant, and with these units you're actually going to get 25 feet of bypass hose, which will allow you to recirculate your system for up to like 10 to 15 minutes without any danger of overheating anything. So what happens is when you stop spraying, the system is going to go into bypass, and that's where the water is going to travel, or the water or the mix, whatever is going through your system. It's going to travel through the 25 feet of the bypass line, and then it's going to go right back into the bypass line right here. And then it'll just keep recirculating itself. And again, you do that for 10 to 15 minutes easily. So if you have to get off the gun for 5-10 minutes here and there, there's no issues with that. You're not going to ruin anything. But after that 10 to 15 minutes, you're going to want to make sure that you start spraying to get some good, cool, cold fluid through the system to avoid ruining anything. Now, with any blend manifold system, the real benefit is that you're going to be able to have each one of these metering valves hooked up to different tanks. So for example, your water line, you can have it directly plumbed into your water tank. And then your soap line, you can have that directly plumbed into your soap. With the bleach, same thing, directly into your bleach tank. And that's going to allow you to keep your bleach nice and pure and clean without any soap or water in it. And it's also going to allow you to carry more of it, because when you're carrying a strong percentage of it, you can carry that 100 gallons of it versus having to batch mix where you only have, a weak percentage, like a 3% mix, and most of it's just water. And then you have a big tank, and you got weight, and you have also limits of how much you're allowed to drive around with. This way you can have, lots of water, lots of bleach, and lots of soap, all in their separate tanks, and you're going to stay compliant. And then when you're going to use each independent chemical, you can adjust the flow rate that you're getting into the system with your metering valves. Now, with these metering valves, you can actually just turn it and see exactly what percentage you're going to be getting out of the gun. So everything's based on 12.5 for chlorine, which is the most common thing that we use. So we use a lot of 12.5% bleach. And when you adjust the metering valves, you can choose if you want to have a 2% mix coming out the gun, a 3%, or a 4, or a 5, or a 6. And 6 is typically the strongest that we like to go. Anything above that, you're typically just wasting the chemical, and you're really increasing your chances of damaging different things like the surface of whatever you're cleaning or surrounding vegetation. Anything above a 6 is just really dangerous, and it's also dangerous for yourself. Even a 6%, you want to make sure you have the proper personal protective equipment on, gloves, glasses, a mask, ventilator thing. You always want to make sure that you have the proper protection when you're using these stronger chemicals. Even at a 1 or 2% mix, you want to make sure that you're taking precautions to be safe, but especially at a 6% because it can burn your skin pretty quick. And that's why we don't really recommend using a 12% mix or a 10. It's just too strong for basic cleaning that we typically do. So with this, again, you can just switch it on the fly and you can have a whatever mix that you like. Now, by the time you change the valve or move the valve, and then the fluid is getting sucked into the system, and then down the line, typically you have about 250 or 300 feet of hose on your hose reel. That change can happen very quickly. So as soon as you make the switch, within 30 seconds, 40, 50 seconds, you will have the new mixture coming out at whatever percentage you've adjusted it to. So if you turn it off and you switch over to water, then it only takes about 50 seconds for you to be on water and water coming through the gun. You still want to flush it out for a little bit if that's your intention to actually flush out the system. So that's a really nice thing about blend manifolds. And if you ever want to learn more about blend manifolds, feel free to give us a call at the store. So you can get blend manifolds for 12 volt systems. Again, this one's a little bit bigger. This one's specifically designed for 10 gallon a minute plus systems. You can get blend manifolds for your downstream injector, obviously these bigger systems, and 12 volts. So there's a manifold out there for essentially whatever way that you're applying chlorine or bleach onto roofs and buildings, if soft washing and pressure washing is the industry that you're in. Now, you can also use these for different things. So people build these custom for different applications all the time. Let's say you don't actually use chlorine or bleach in your line of work. Maybe you live in an area that needs a lot of cleaning, but there's not a lot of organics on the building. Because these are chemical resistant, you could actually have different acids that go through this. You could have different degreasers. Say you do a lot of commercial underground parking cleaning and you want to be able to apply degreasers to an underground parkade really fast. So you want to have a high volume, low pressure system, and you want to be able to get water. Maybe you want some surfactant so you can spray it onto the walls, and you want a good degreaser. Well, you can hook up the chem line directly to a tank full of degreaser. You can hook up your soap line to a surfactant that you're going to use with your degreaser if you're ever spraying it on the wall or on the ceiling. And then you can obviously have this first one hooked up to your water so that you can adjust your percentages on the fly. So this blend manifold is not specifically just for soft washing. It's just that's the most common thing it's used for. It can be used for a variety of different things. We have people who use these systems for cleaning turf. They have a turf installation company and they want to be able to spray different detergents on the turf and then rinse it away, so they use this. People use these blend manifolds for pest control companies. They have different types of sprays that they want to apply to surfaces quickly, so they hook these up to individual tanks, and as long as everything's compatible and can mix and it's not going to make a negative reaction, then it's fine. So one thing you wouldn't want to do is have this set up for, spraying different acids and then also using chlorine to clean stuff, because chlorine and acids don't mix well. You don't want to have them on the same manifold. Even if you do flush in between, you're still running a risk that somebody might forget, or there might be a trace of chlorine in there when you switch over to an acid. So it's best just to keep compatible things together through this blend manifold. Now, if you have any other questions, or if I've missed anything that you'd like to learn about, please feel free to leave a comment on this video. We'd really appreciate it. And hopefully today you learned something. Feel free to check out our website, www.bigshotsupplies.ca, or give us a call anytime at our store, 604-513-3353. Hope everybody has a great day. Bye.